I just remember going into that day thinking, okay, we'll work our way up to the levels, you know, but it was like Alden straight out of the gate, just like he blew the roof off the set, like on take one, and it was just so exciting because that was the level that it needed to be, and then from there it just set the tone for like the rest of the scene, and it was awesome.
How did I get so lucky?
Are you talking about me? Or your job?
Both.
It was a reckoning of sorts with some experiences that I had in my past, and I would say the real kernel came from this feeling I was having at a certain period in my life when my career started to kind of take off. It was this feeling that my success didn't feel like a total win. It felt like a loss on some level. And it's because of the relationships I was in, and these were relationships with men who on the one hand adored me for my ambition, adored me for what I was trying to do, and but at the same time there was this unspoken tension that me being big on some level made them feel small. It just made me realize how much power these ingrained dynamics still have over us, you know, even today, even in progressive cities, and so it was something that I wanted to put on screen and finally kind of open up the conversation on. I mean, I set out to make a thriller about power dynamics within a relationship. So for me, it was about creating this pressure cooker and this ticking time bomb and this ballooning tension where you don't know when it's gonna pop. But once it does pop, it turns into a dogfight. So it was kind of like the pacing of the movie I saw like this, and then once it explodes, it's like, it just goes crazy.
He can't keep up. He's not you.
Just tell me what's going on here.
He's promoting me.
Congratulations.
I watched the pilot of Bridgerton, and I was just enamored by Phoebe's performance in it. I just think she's someone you can't take your eyes off of. I think she's such a strong actor and super dialed in, and she was so present. And in terms of like qualities, I just felt like there was a warmth and a vulnerability, but also a fierceness. And then when I met with Phoebe, it was like I just knew she was my Emily. It was just a very strong gut reaction. In terms of Alden, I'd been just a big fan of his. I was very familiar with his work, and he had been on my list of actors I've wanted to work with. I was super excited when he responded to the script. You know, the thing about the character of Luke is that, you know, he has to be lovable and charming, but he also has to go to these insecure places, these dark places, and I knew that Alden, you know, he has such a wide range as an actor, and the complexities and the nuances and the duality of emotions that he was going to bring to this role, you know, was just so exciting for me. I just knew that he would take this character to another level. So we used an intimacy coordinator, which was invaluable, and we brought her on for rehearsals. So we started from day one with an intimacy coordinator, given the nature of the film, and it was just super helpful in terms of like communication, making sure everyone was comfortable with what we were trying to do, and just on the same page about it. And to be honest, like that just made everyone feel it. Just feeling that kind of safety, you know, and clarity, having that clarity just freed everyone up, you know, in ways that I think was invaluable for the shoot. And then when we got to actually shooting those intimate scenes, the way I went about doing it was shooting it in two parts. So we would shoot the performance side first, and we'd shoot everything through the performance. And then we would treat the more physical parts as a stunt. And I think that also helped the actors, so that they could just focus on the performance, you know, without wondering, you know, where their bodies needed to be for like the second half of the scene. And so it was very technical too. And I think that just being very logistical and technical, you know, took kind of the emotional weight out of those scenes too, because they're also quite heavy.
Can I buy another?
Now that you're making more money than me.
Oh.
I would say my favorite scene in the whole film was my favorite scene to write. It was my favorite scene to shoot, and it's my favorite scene to watch, which is the first big blowout fight that the two characters have over the kitchen counter, where they just go at each other's throats like animals. And for me, what was so exciting about that scene was just, you know, there's all this unspoken tension, you know, just building and building and building, and it gets to a point at this point in the film where it's just kind of excruciating, and you're waiting for something to just like pop, and this is the first time that he lashes out on her and says what he, you know, thinks, you know, and how he feels robbed of something, and then it's the first time that she reveals something that she's been holding, but it happens in such an explosive way that it was just riveting. And I just remember going into that day thinking, okay, we'll work our way up to the levels, but it was like Alden straight out of the gate, just like he blew the roof off the set, like on take one, and it was just so exciting because that was the level that it needed to be, and then from there it just set the tone for like the rest of the scene. And it was awesome. I mean, no one person is gonna walk out of this film feeling the same way, but I think that that's essential. I think that this is a film that I made to start conversation and debate, and get people talking, and really, specifically talking about these issues that I think are just been pushed under the rug for so long. I think that these are dynamics that we're afraid to acknowledge, and because we're afraid to acknowledge it, that's why we can't even really talk about it. And I think that that's what's become so problematic, is and also that's what's made it so insidious. And in terms of questions I'd like to leave the audience with, ideally those would be the same questions that drove me to writing this script in the first place, which is, how can we dismantle the toxic link between female empowerment and male fragility? How can we demystify the role that men are raised into thinking they're supposed to fill? And, on the other end of it, like, how can women learn to embrace their successes without feeling like they need to undermine themselves or feeling like it'll hurt them on some level? And ultimately, it's like, how can we move forward in a capitalist society when it's proven to be so incompatible with love?